11Tenths Racecraft.
Episode 8.
Yes.
Season 2.
Jinx, you owe me
a beer.
Welcome. So we actually want to give you some usefulness this week and talk about, or this month I should say, and talk about trailering. We hinted at it in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
I officially have my trailer, so I'm already diving into that enclosed experience.
Yeah, you got it.
But we should start from, I think the proper thing to start from is probably the truck.
Well, yeah, I guess we can back it up and, a lot of people, they track the car,
Mm-hmm.
So they're tracking their daily driver.
Mm-hmm.
Then the daily driver becomes a little bit too track focused. It's not so much a daily driver, so you got to consider trailering it. Some people you can rent a U-Haul. You can even rent race trailers from organizations that just rent out trailers, but then you need a truck.
You can rent a U-Haul truck and trailer. That you could do.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I've seen Q vans in a trailer just to get the trailer.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
So you can do that, or a pickup truck now, or a Home Depot pickup truck, or whatever. But I mean, they kill you on mileage. I think it's like 59.
That's the key.
60 cents a kilometer.
Everyone's seen the clip. You too can grab this sucker for $19.95, but the kids burning out in the truck. But you're paying per mile.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. I will say a U-Haul trailer is only $120 for a 2-day weekend, and I think it's unlimited miles. Fairly certain still.
Yeah.
So it was a good deal. I was going to the track often enough to kind of see that return, especially with us going down to grab the vet in Georgia.
They weigh a ton.
Yeah.
Those U-Hauls they're built like tanks.
It makes sense to have your one at some point, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you can get tow vehicle. We just started talking about that, right? I mean, there are some cars that are able to tow trailers. For the most part, they're little ATV motorcycle trailers, dirt trailers.
Yeah.
Not so much another car. Say maybe like an SUV, at minimum, like an X5 BMW would be enough to tow a race trailer, and that is, I'm talking about more of an open trailer, not an enclosed trailer. Yeah, open trailer, because the enclosed trailers do weigh considerably more.
You need to know whatever your tow vehicle is going to be, car, SUV, truck, whatever. You need to know its total trailering ability in terms of total weight. So that also depends on the hitch that you have, which I've kind of discovered and looked into that a bit. So
they got different classes. Right?
They have different classes of hitch. So first things first, what does your car weigh? If you don't know, or you don't know how to Google, or maybe it's not the same as what's on Google, go to a weigh station for a tractor trailer place. Like you'll see them on the side of the highway and stuff like that. It costs $20. Go get your car weighed. You'll know. And then usually a trailer will have its weight on the side of the trailer somewhere, wherever the VIN may be. Yeah, those two together, boom, that's what you're trailering. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, there are tongue weight limits. You got to make sure you have the right tires, because sometimes somebody will, the load rating on a tire is very important. Right? So don't cheap out on that, because you might find the right tire size for the rear, but if the load rating is off, then you'll have a blowout because the tires will just heat up. They're stressed, right? So
there's a lot of things you want to look out for. So I'll tell you a bit about my trailering experience. So I did a U-Haul a bunch, which worked out, except with my Z4, I could only tow the car backwards. And then I actually had to take off, they had plates. I had to take off plates to be able to get the tire supports around the back tires. So that was one issue, on top of having to build my own 2x4 ramps.
Plus, he had that big wing on the back. When he was pulling it backwards, the trailer started to lift up and fly in the... No.
Yeah, it was like Mary Poppins with an umbrella.
Exactly.
So you want to keep in mind that, right? When I bought my open trailer, it was a great deal, but I didn't know too much about electric brakes, and I found out later that the electric brakes weren't working. So, you want to make sure you're doing a good test. And key points. You want to know how much your trailer can hold, if your vehicle can tow the trailer and what you intend to put on the trailer. Check the tires. Just because it's got, 4 or 6 or however many brand new tires doesn't mean it's got the load rating, right?
Yeah, tires on the trailer and on your car.
Yep. Check your springs if you can, and you're checking bearings and stuff like that.
Yeah, wheel bearings
need to be greased or packed, whatever. Some of them are easier to do than others, and these are all the things you want to check.
Yeah, and then if you are buying a used trailer, to make sure all the lights are working on the trailer. I mean, that is just a MTO flag right there.
Yeah.
Driving around with even just a license plate light burnt out will give you, cause for an MTO person to pull you over, and you don't want them pulling you over because they will pick apart your car like you wouldn't believe.
Fun fact though, a trailer does not have to be safetied for personal use. So that tells you something right there. If someone's using the trailer for personal use, it may be a little bit finicky, so watch it out. Versus if you're using it commercially, it actually has to be safetied like a vehicle.
Oh yeah. There's this whole CVOR thing that you have to go through for commercial trailers, and it's a lot.
Grabbed an open trailer. It worked great until we loaded up to vet, and I discovered that the beaver tail. So basically, the platform then has a beaver tail. That's the section at the rear that starts to dip down at an angle, and then you have your ramps. Everything was fine and dandy until getting up the ramps, and the car bottomed out where the beaver tail turns to the level. And then putting 2x4s and stuff like that, yes, that could help move the car up, but there was also more of a hazard from the tires slipping and spitting the 2x4s out and stuff like that. So,
and then the vet has very low sills. So once we got it in place, you couldn't open the door. So some trailers, and this is probably a feature you might want to consider, have cotter pins where you can pull the fenders off the trailer wheels, and it allows access to the door to go open and close. And then you just put the fender back on, throw a couple cotter pins, and it's locked. And
ironically, the U-Haul actually has that option. Cheaply, but it does have that option. Now, if you're buying an enclosed trailer, that's also an option. You can get an entire wheel well where it falls away. You can actually open up the side of the trailer. It's much more expensive. I didn't opt for that. And personally, I don't like to think I'm going to have a sealed trailer. I don't really want to be dropping the side and let more moisture and stuff like that in. So there's pluses and minuses to going that route. So just be aware it exists.
There's also the material the trailer's made. Makes a huge difference in weight, right? So if the majority of the trailers out there are made of steel, and then the trailer itself weighs quite a bit, and you're kind of limited to what you can haul, right? But if you get an aluminum trailer, which costs twice as much, but you can also carry more weight because your overall weight with a heavier race car and a lighter trailer, you see where I'm going with this, right?
Aluminum is more expensive. They have to use more of it. You actually have to use more aluminum compared to steel to make it as strong, but it is lighter.
And they will last longer.
Like
our 24-footer is just nothing but rust underneath at this point. It's only like 5 years old.
Corrosion is a big thing. So you want to be aware, whatever you're getting, take a good look at the underside. And trailers none of them really do great against moisture. So in buying my enclosed trailer, I'll put up some images up there. There's no big difference between one brand or the other, except when it comes down to construction and maybe some options. So for me, I spent a little bit more, and there's actually more frames. So the same way you'd buy a house and you can actually do your spacing of your wooden frame.
The trusses.
It's the same thing that you would do within a trailer. So they're closer together and there's more of them. So my trailer weighs a little bit more, but it's a little bit stronger.
Also, the winch system. So his open trailer had a hand crank, which is fine.
It worked.
So like sometimes you'll have a release where it would freewheel and you just like start pulling the cable on the thing all the way out. But no, you got to like sit there and hand crank it out to actually hook it to the broken race car or whatever you're pulling from the bottom. Little things like that will actually make your life easier. Things to consider when you're out shopping for trailers, right? So, go from trailer to trailer and see which one has just a simple release on the hand crank or a winch.
Speaking of winch plates, so when you're buying a new trailer or an enclosed trailer, winch plates are an option or are done aftermarket by someone who welds it on. So you want to be aware of that. I ordered a winch plate. I'll be installing my winch shortly. You have to buy the winch separately. So you're budgeting there. A quick, not that we know everything about all these trailers and everything for whatnot, go to a trucking channel for that. But I'll tell you right now, you can overkill with regards to the winch. So 3,000 pound car, they say safely recommend 3 times. From what I've Googled, and there was multiple opinions, but most people safely say 3 times the car's weight. So if your car's 3,000 pounds, get a 9,000 pound winch minimum. And the idea is that you're not pulling the car, it's rolling weight, keep that in mind. you're not pulling it straight onto the trailer. There's going to be an incline. So depending on the ramp and the incline, that also makes a difference as to how hard it will be on the winch.
Yeah, it got more resistance.
Yeah.
Now, on the winch, these winches will take a 12 volt, so you're going to have to budget for a marine, like a deep cycle battery, that's going to be positioned somewhere near the winch. If you're smart and clever, you can get yourself an inverter and wire it to the basically the trailer connector that connects to the truck. That way, when you're driving along, the truck is actually topping up the marine battery, right? So, just think about doing a little bit extra. It's a little bit extra at the beginning. We'll actually have quite a few trade-offs in the end. I mean, there's been numerous times where I would go pick up a vehicle and the marine battery's dead and I don't have a winch, and I'm just like, oh my God, so a little bit of some ingenious wiring, and next thing you know, the winch battery is getting trickle charged, which is kind of what you want. So
you want that as and that's the thing. If you're shopping used, these are the kinds of things you want to differentiate. It's easy to find a trailer until you realize that not a lot of people are hauling cars; they're hauling tools and lawnmowers. So you don't find a lot of fold-down ramps. They open like a closet.
As well as the hooks. Make sure they're strategically placed where you can actually use the proper straps. Don't skimp out on straps. Get yourself some 3-inch, 20,000 pound straps. What we like to do is we like to get a 36-inch, just basically a strap with 2 hooks. They're not hooks, they're eyelets on the end, and that way we can wrap them around the tires, and then from there we basically, we hook it to the actual.
So you can go around your rim, or you can go around, depending, some cars, A-arms.
A-arms or the subframe or whatever. But
you're not going off your tow hook. Number one, you're not going off your tow hook. And you want to be careful on how you're winching down, obviously. Everything's got to be tight. It doesn't matter what you're trailering. Every person out there, or say most men out there, will say, that's never going to go anywhere. Trust me. Drive 10 miles and check again. It's probably, you can.
You're right. A lot of times, I'll sit there and I'll latch it, and then one more thing, when you do actually latch it, that very last one, fold it all the way back because it locks it. Okay, and then go for a little drive, do a couple blocks, pull over to the right, put the 4-ways on, get back in there and check. 9 times out of 10 they're slack again. You're like, what the hell just happened? I thought I had this snug. I don't know how it happens, but it does, right? It does. It always loosens
things move, right? So
absolutely,
just be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you're looking at trailers, there's a ton of options. So those are your price differentiators. We talked about the lightness of your trailer, but also we talk about the build of the trailer in terms of its shape. You can get a V-nose trailer, which helps with aerodynamics. Also gives you that little bit of extra space. We were joking around about this because you guys are using a 24 and I bought a 20 foot. And those extra 4 feet of space is a full-on square 4 feet for their trailer versus I'm getting an extra 2 feet, but it's 2 or 3 feet, but it's in a V. So it's not as practical, right? So keep that in mind. And I haven't towed the Corvette to compare, but I know for a fact by having a V-nose, I may be saving a liter in 100 kilometers. So what's the $2 worth that I could have saved thousands by going to a square trailer? So keep that in mind. There's some practical experience for you. The other thing, like we said earlier, is hitches. What I found out was that you can basically tow almost everything, but it depends on how you're loading up the tongue. And we had talked about that. The tongue is basically the front of the trailer where it's meeting the hitch, and how much weight is literally at that point, okay? You can buy fancy devices to put on the trailer and figure out exactly what you're putting down there. Ideally, your truck, or whatever you're towing with, and your trailer should be level. Okay, and that means adjusting the weight in the trailer, either moving the car forward or back slightly, but ideally most of the weight's going to be over the axles. Right.
If anything, to be on the safe side, you should have a little bit extra weight over the tongue, because I'm not sure if you've ever seen that the video of a treadmill and the trailer going a little bit wonky, and I've noticed this also from firsthand experience, having a little bit extra weight over the rear, so the rear biased on the trailer, the trailer tends to want to wander quite a bit. So you'll have more stability if you have a bit more over the tongue. But that's where you get leveling shocks or leveling springs for the truck.
Yep.
You can also get the crossbars underneath.
Yeah.
Right?
So now
the torsion bars.
Yeah, the torsion bars. So essentially, there's a whole other level of hitch, and I want you to know, a lot of modern trucks are claiming 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 pounds of towing. And it's only with that style of hitch. Most trucks cap out at around 5,000 or 6,000 pounds with a regular ball and hitch.
Yeah.
So what this is a special hitch. It's pretty much the same, but you're leveling out the ball, and it's actually not that hard. You just follow the instructions with a tape measure, and you kind of load everything up. You see where everything sits, and then you adjust it and clamp everything down. That sounds complicated. It's actually very easy. The instructions are great. If I can follow Princess Auto instructions on this thing, because you don't have to go and buy a stupidly expensive one. Go to Princess Auto and save yourself some money.
Yep.
Or Harbor Freight if you're in the States. Anyway, so basically what it's doing is adding 2 extra bars that bring a little bit of extra torsion because it's going back into the frame because those clamp onto the trailer, and that helps distribute the weight. It's called a weight distribution hitch. There's the name. On top of that, you can start to get fancy ones that have an anti-sway, and all that is another, basically like a shock absorber to the side of that, and it basically makes sure that nothing moves overly quickly because of a compression spring that kind of has some of the weight. So that's basically all the hitches that you can go for.
There is a gooseneck. If you
yes,
we had a 48-foot stacker trailer that we would take. It would actually take 3 cars, and then we had a 3500, like a 3500.
Pickup. Was it a diesel?
Yeah, it was
diesel,
a Ford. Yeah, it was a diesel Super Duty Ford pickup with a gooseneck type attachment. And
gooseneck is in the bed.
It's in the bed, so it's inside, and you can carry a lot more weight with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, driving that thing around. So normally, if you had that registered on the business, because of the size, you'd need a CVOR. But if we had our truck registered under Kaiser, my partner, his personal name, so it was kind of like we were toting it around.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a gray area because we had we had our livery and our stickers on the side of it.
But personally,
yeah, but it was still like the truck was owned personally, so that's one way to kind of get around the CVOR stuff. But I was driving that, and I had a few eye-opening moments, because we're talking about a full height 13.5-foot trailer. It's like the semis that you see out there, and I'm out in like these rural roads trying to find the back entrance to a racetrack, and they have these like low-hanging bridges. And here I am just cruising along in the pickup truck and forgetting that I have like a full-size trailer behind me, and I see this bridge, and I just like slam on the brakes, walk up everything, and I stop before it, right? I'm just like, I'm looking to make sure you know the height of your truck, right?
Right.
And the trailer, yeah, because I'm just like, you get out, you look at, they usually have like the minimum height on the bridge, and then
you'd have to keep in mind, you'd
have to check the thing, and I was only off by 10 centimeters, but I eked by it, and it scared the hell out of me.
So when you drove through it, did you do this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To make sure
I was ducking.
Down.
Yeah, I think me and Brad both ducked, right?
That's how you made it.
Yeah.
That was an extra 2 centimeters.
Oh my god. Yeah. So.
Yeah, be aware of that stuff.
I mean, if I was driving a truck for a living, these are things that you're trained to watch out for. But
100%.
Yeah, this is
I don't think many of you out there are going to be getting three car double stackers.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, they should know that exists, and a lot of these things apply to the smaller trailers too. Be aware.
Yeah.
Interesting experience of an enclosed trailer versus an open trailer. The truck I'm using doesn't have extendo mirrors go.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time seeing
same
around.
Same thing. All of our trucks, none of them had the extended mirrors.
So buy some Amazon extended mirrors, or if you're buying a truck or have a buddy's truck, make sure he's got the option.
Yeah, they make a huge difference. And and obviously just the basics. And when you round a corner, just make sure you take it wide.
Yeah.
Always watch back. Make sure you're not running over a pedestrian or a sign or something on the curb, because something like 20 feet behind you just usually forget about. But
some driving tips and tricks. This could be handy out there. So wherever your rear wheel is, the trailer wheels are going to be inside that one. So if you're turning right, your trailer wheels are actually going to follow inside. So keep in mind it's going to have that shorter radius.
Yeah.
If you want to steer the trailer in one direction, you have to turn the wheel the opposite direction.
Oh, for backing up.
If you don't know that yet,
Yeah.
Practice on your own time in a giant parking lot before you make a damn fool of yourself. Or just drive through everywhere.
Well, you know what? The longer the trailer, the easier it is to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the corrections are much slower, right? If you've got a little 8-foot dirt trailer, those are the worst. Those things, like, they got a mind of their own. They're constantly, you know, 1 degree here, and the thing's like already 45 degrees the other. It's like, those are the hardest ones to back up.
So that's how you should train.
Yeah. Yeah, like our 48-foot stacker, I was parking in no problem.
It's
right?
just like soccer players.
Yeah.
Don't train with a soccer ball, train with a tennis ball. And that's
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there you go, life lesson.
So on the other thing, there's one kind of trailer that we forgot. If you can't afford a big trailer, consider that some cars go to the track with their own hitch, carrying their own trailers and tools.
Yeah.
It makes, I'd say, the most common issues you're going to have are going to be tire related or brake related.
Yeah.
If you're going to have
cans.
have some jerry cans for gas.
You see that a lot with the little Miatas because they have limited space inside the car.
100%. So keep in mind that's an option. There's nothing wrong with throwing a hitch on the back of the car, getting one of those baskets, and almost every car you can add one to, even if it says you can't. And that's, I think, usually 200 to 400 pounds you can add on that as well. So keep that in mind out there if you're going to the track. So I'm sure that we haven't covered everything. So if we haven't, put it in the comments, ask us a question, or we'd be happy to open up the discussion on this because it is useful. Your average used open trailer now can be anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000 used. You're in this current market in 2022, they're from 5 to 9 new. If you can, I recommend installing a brake biased brake controller. Oh yes.
Right, like some trucks have a tow package where it's actually built into the dashboard. It's like a little
electric brake.
Yeah, it's an electric brake thing. They're not very expensive. You can get them at Canadian Tire, and just takes like an hour to wire in, and they're quite a bit of help. That's especially in clement weather, right? You can actually manually dial in a bit extra brake in the back if it's snowing, and have the trailer kind of slow you down. It'll just prevent some jackknifing.
As we talk, just more stuff keeps coming out of the brain. Gain control. If you have an integrated controller in your truck or SUV, just keep in mind gain is basically how much you're sending to the back in terms of percentage. So if it's the equivalent amount of force. So an empty trailer should be gain 1 or 2. And then a loaded up trailer should be maybe 5 or 6 depending on the trailer and its weight. So just keep that in mind. You'll notice a difference. Someone told me a quick trick is when the trailer's loaded up, if you have the pinch style knobs or whatever, pinch it, and if the trailer can hold the car and the truck and it's everything on its own, that's the right setting, without obviously when you're braking, locking your brakes. Those are kind of what you're aiming for in between that. Okay, so that's a lot covered. That's probably one of the most informational ones we've done in a while. What else is going on? What's new in the shop? You guys are just slammed.
Yeah, we're just really busy.
Which is good.
We're busy. We've got
and 54 swaps.
We got it's the N55 seems to be the new engine that's just failing left, right, and center.
Really?
We're replacing so many N55s. They're rod bearings. They're all rod bearing issues.
Interesting.
And not even performance, just like regular, X5s or 335s or 435s. Nothing track driven or anything. It's just arguably maybe just really bad service intervals. But we did do a rod bearing engine replacement failure for a customer that we have been doing oil services every 7,000 K, and
it just happens.
Yeah, and those engines are hard to find because it seems like it's an epidemic. You go on there and you call around, and there's literally 1 or 2 in all of Canada.
Keep in mind, there's still part supply shortages everywhere. We joke around about ARP bolts and studs and stuff like those are still on back order.
They are.
Because everybody, doesn't matter what kind of car you have.
They're starting to catch up with the production of rod bearings, but you don't have any hardware to put them on.
So just keep that in mind. But here we are, middle of the track season. Hopefully we'll see you out there. And that's it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.